Hey, this is your boy Ray Hugo, aka Hill, aka Rahil, and welcome to Enter the View. This is my first album review that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do a whole series of album reviews, and I hope you all enjoy this. So, my first album review is going to be the new Bizzy Bone album in 2020, and it's called The Mantra. And I listened to it when it first came out, and man, I was blown away because Bizzy Bone, of course, if you don't know who he is, if you've been living under a rock, he is one of the group members of the group called Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, which came out in the 90s, founded by Eazy-E. And they came with a unique style where they can rap really fast. And a lot of the styles that people are doing today, the Migos and a lot of other artists, this triple time style. Bone Thugs-n-Harmony came out with that, but they did a triple time style and also added harmonies to it, added music like singing to it. Bizzy Bone, he was a standout artist because he had a high pitched voice. And anyway, as a part of that group, he was always a standout guy. He comes from Columbus, Ohio, and he broke off from the group at a certain period of time earlier, like probably at the prime of their career, and started doing solo work. So he's done a lot of solo albums, a lot. I mean, a lot. His catalog is crazy. And so I've been a fan. I've followed his music over the years, and he's always been consistent. So if you know what his style is like, it's he's very melodic, and he's always been consistent. So, in a recent time, though, if you follow Bizzy Bone, he's recently got married. He's recently had a child, and so he kind of really restarted his career to some degree as far as putting out more albums again. So he put out an album probably about a year or two ago called Carbon Monoxide, and it was a response to the Migos and all these people who were kind of like crapping on the Bone Thugs-n-Harmony and try to say, hey, we came up with this style first. And Bone Thugs and Bizzy in particular is like, nah, I started. So he came up with an album called Carbon Monoxide, which was crazy dope. The production was stupid, and he staked his claim. Now, during this time, he went on Instagram and he came out there with a shotgun, and a lot of people were making fun of him because, you know, he came up with the shotgun, he's threatening folks, he's threatening Migos and all these guys, and it's like, hey, hey man, I'll come see y'all, A lot of people cracked on him and say, yo, he pulled out a musket, but no, it was a shotgun. So I say that to segue into the cover of his album. The cover of his album has him on the front cover holding that same shotgun. He has wings on the back of him. He has a crown on his head, and he's sipping on some wine, holding that as well as having a shotgun in his hand. I would say this cover captures basically who Bizzy is, everything he is. He's a very spiritual guy. He's a master at what he does. He enjoys the fruit of his labor, and he protects it all at all costs with the shotgun. So that's what you see here. So anyway, let's get into the album. It's called The Mantra. The first track is called YBND. And it has that vintage Bone Thugs sound. Now, if you listen to Bone Thugs music, you know, like, especially the prime East 99 stuff, you'll hear that the music was amazing. So you listen to the album, and this song, it's very, like, the way he comes in, he sounds like East 99 Bizzy if you were looking for that style. So he kind of gives you like a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new. He's flexing his muscle. He's talking about people talking mess about him. So he's like, basically just saying like, you talking mess about me, but I'll come see you. So with that said, second song, Murder for Hire. Again, another Bone Thugs-n-Harmony sounding track. And it was crazy. The production style of what's going on today with the hi-hats and the triple time snares and all that stuff, it's like so fitting right now for what Bone Thugs-n-Harmony did. They were so ahead of their time, including Bizzy, ahead of his time. And so Anyway, this track, Murder for Hire, hardcore, man. He snaps and he sounds like that song is dope, but it sounded like it needed Bone Thugs because I'm like, this is like the perfect song for all of them to get off on. But Bizzy, he snaps on it. He comes in with the melodic Bone Thug style that he's had and people have known him for and loved him for. Because one thing about Bizzy's style, he can be melodic, he can sing, but he also can go into a bag where he's just rapping straight up, like straight up and down rapping. I mean, if you ever heard him on Biggie, Notorious B.I.G.'s song, where he first comes in on his verse, Notorious Thugs, and he's rapping straight. But this song, he's melodic, he's rapping. It's called Murder for Hire, and this song is hard. It's hard. Like, if you love that hardcore Bone Thug sound, that's that song. You want to get in that bag, that's the song. Next song called Black Milk. Black Milk is Bizzy being socially conscious and him talking about like what's going on with society today, people marching, talking about the current events, talking about black people and racism, and a lot of gems he says. And he points out some criticism at black folks who aren't trying to be united. Because that's the problem. It's like we want all these things to happen as far as on behalf of black people in America. However, many black people aren't united. We're not on one accord. So he's speaking about that, like, yo, we need to be on one accord. The other part, he talks about how this whole Black Lives Matter is very trendy right now. However, he's hoping that it's not. Hoping that people, if they keep that same energy. If you really believe Black Lives Matter, keep that same energy and don't stop. So that's kind of what he touches on that song, and it's a little different for him, because he does at different points of his albums, he's always looked at society. Bone Thugs were known for that, to look at different aspects of society and kind of talk about it. So this song, he actually does that. The next one is called Fake Love. I Am Not Them. So the song called Fake Love, I Am Not Them. This song, he's talking about how he took control of his career and what people thought about him, thought it wasn't right. Because at a certain point, Bone Thugs, they didn't have, I will say this, they were on Ruthless, and when Eazy-E died, they did jump out the window and start their own record label, right? Mo Thugs. And so with that said, Bizzy started his own solo career. He started Seventh Sign. If you know about Seventh Sign, was his record label at the time. Many Columbus artists and different people were on it. And so a lot of people didn't like that move that he pivoted at the peak of Bone Thugs and Harmony's success. So on this song, he's talking about how he took control and how different people were telling him he shouldn't. And, he talks about how people have been fake to him. And then, he brought up the whole thing about just, what he decided to do, how he wanted to take control. I think the third verse is probably the best verse on there. So check that song out, Fake Love. It's a pretty dope song. I like what he talks about, but he takes you inside of his life and what's going on, what was going on with him over the course of years, and just him just looking back and reflecting on, the people he's dealt with. Because of course, as artists and as people who are famous and in the limelight, you're going to have a lot of people who aren't real around you. Next song I want to get into is called Deadly Shots. It's another Bone Thugs vibe, and on the hook, of course. Honestly, this track too, I believe it needed Bone Thugs and Harmony. This song would have took it over the top, man. If somebody from Bone Thugs was on there, man, he snaps and he stays on that Bone Thugs flow that he started way back in the 90s, man. And it sounds dope, man. I love it, man. So, right now you'll got at least 3 tracks on there. If you like, oh man, I don't like all the other stuff, I want some Bone Thugs from him, that's the track. That's another one, Deadly Shots, and he's snapping on there. So we'll move on to the next one. Next one is called 44. And again, on that, he discusses current events. He's talking about COVID. He's talking about human trafficking. He goes into straight rap mode on the second verse. Dope verse, man. That's one thing I like about on a lot of his albums, and even on this album. His first verse is like, it's cool, But then when he gets to the second verse or the third verse, it's like you can see his juices get to flowing, man, and he just starts pouring out, man. So that's what I like about Bizzy in this album. So second verse is dope on that song 44. The bass line is crazy. I love the bass line on this. It's dope. Bass line dope. You're gonna hear me say dope a lot because, again, I'm from the AM80s, baby. So, but it's dope, man. It's just hot. Next track, God Flow. He's just Bizzy, just rapping, just spazzing out over this beat for about a minute 53 seconds straight up, like just straight rapping, almost on some rap god, like Eminem rap god. It's dope. I mean, it's cool. He's just rapping. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay. And not nothing I'm like, I know what he can do. So he don't have to prove anything to me. But this song, he's kind of like showing like, yeah, I can flow, I can rhyme, so nothing to it. But cool track. Next track called The Popo. All right, so this one, he's kind of telling the story about how a woman called the police on him and how he was done with her. Like, he was done with the relationship, but she called the police on him. And the way he sings the word "ho" is hilarious, but it's so smooth. But, and you know what I mean? I don't condone, but it's his art, so I get it, man. He's telling a story, but the way he sings "ho" on there is hilarious, man. It's funny. But yeah, so it's a song about him going through it with this girl. He's done with her. He wants to break it off with her, but she calls the police on him and how all that goes on. So it's an interesting song, man. So Bizzy takes you into his life, and I'm assuming that this song was definitely before he got married. He has a channel on YouTube called Jam TV, and he seems pretty happy with his wife. So I'm assuming this song is about some other relationship, not her. So, but anyway, next track called Self Snitching. I love this beat, man. I love it. Like, I put a star by this in my review. Like, this, one of my highlights on there. He's talking about how people snitch on themselves, i.e. Tekashi 6ix9ine, via social media. People snitching via social media all the time now. They're like doing crimes on social media. So he's addressing that. He addresses how when he flashed a gun on IG, because that's what everybody know him about. They're like, oh, he had the musket. It's like, no, he had a shotgun, but he flashed it on IG, and how that affected things in his life, doing that. Because obviously he did that, and of course somebody had to, somebody got involved in coming to see him. He addresses also, just basically just dropping gems, especially on the second verse. He drops gems. Again, Bizzy's been around for a long time. So now I think he's very matured a whole lot. So in some of these songs, you can hear like he's an elder statesman in rap. He's an elder statesman. He's an older man. So now he's like, I can tell, kind of sit back and give my perspective on things and kind of sun some people. Like, yo, listen to what I got to say, man. Maybe you should think about this. Which is going to lead into some other songs that I'm going to address. The next track, though, oh my God, I don't even know what to say about this. It's called Midwestern Django. So about 2 years ago, you had Lil Nas X with Old Town Road? Okay, so that was like the biggest song of the year when that song came out. So Bizzy decides, and this must be an older song, this must have been recorded around that same time, but he decides, I'm going to tap into that same lane and I'm going to make me a country song. So he actually just completely pivots and makes himself a country song, right? For the first half of the song. And I'm telling you, man, this is okay. So he's he starts off like it's like a country song. He's kind of rapping, in a twang, a country twang, right? And he's flowing over it, and it sounds like Ghetto Cowboy Part Two, kind of. If you ever remember Bone Thugs album, or excuse me, the record label Mo Thug, they had a compilation, and one of their hit songs was called Ghetto Cowboy, where Crazy Bone and I think it was his wife or baby mom at the time, they're on a song and they're rapping as if they're telling a story in a country twang, but they're rapping and you know what I mean. So, and it was a hit song. It was kind of cheesy, but it was a hit song. And this song kind of sounds like it, even though the production is pretty dope for a country kind of sounding beat. But then the beat switches at like the probably a minute 35 mark, and Bizzy snaps, bro. He snaps. Like the beat goes crazy. The beat is dope. The beat is crazy, and he switches up. All right, so then he spazzes out. He sounds like Michael Trapson. That's who. If you ever listen to Michael Trapson, I've heard him up. Look up Michael Trapson. If you ever heard any of his songs, that's how Bizzy sounds on this beat. It is crazy, bro. It's crazy. Anyway, so but it's dope, man. I like it. I like it. But the first half, I'm like, yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. Dope song. Let me move on. Next track is Shotgun, right? And it sounds like he was drunk and he's just venting. And you know, he says, you know, I don't know, it's just crazy. I don't know, it's kind of cryptic. You know, he's saying like there'll never be another Bone Thug. So maybe he's speaking of there'll never be another Bone Thug as far as people sounding like Bone Thugs, or is he saying there's never going to be another Bone Thugs? Because he kind of moves in and out of the group. He's never like with them. Like at certain times in interviews, he speaks as if he's not a part of them anymore, but he loves them as brothers and all that stuff. And then other times it sounds like he's in the group and sometimes he's performing with them. So it's kind of like, it's very cryptic. But this song the title track of this song should have been called The Mantra, because it's something he mentions in there about the mantra. So I don't know, but I'm going to assume Shotgun is really like the title track of this album. But even though it's not called The Mantra, but I think that's what it should have been called. But it's kind of just him kind of all over the place. And again, he sounds kind of drunk the way he's rapping, but it's not bad. It's not a bad song. It's okay. Next track, one of my standouts, Bizzy Unplugged. And the way they produced this song is if Bizzy was performing live in front of a studio audience, and he wasn't, but they produced it in that way. And he's rapping over this guitar, like a live guitar. And I'm saying, like, I would love to see him do this song live. Like, I think it would be dope if he do the song live, you know, with live instrumentation. It'd probably be crazy, you know. And he's talking and reminiscing about, you know, old times. And then the second verse, he kind of get in his Pac bag. He kind of sound like Pac a little bit with his cadence and stuff. But dope song, man. A standout cut for me on there. Next track is called Amazing. The guitars in the track are crazy. The second verse is crazy dope. It has a strong hook and verse, and the verses are just okay. Vibe is all right. Piano is dope. The chords are crazy dope. It's just all right. Like it's okay, but like the second verse is dope. It's crazy. It's okay. It's all right. Nothing to be, you know. It's just, you know, it's another dope track on there. You know, again, like this album, every song is consistent, man. It's like no songs where can drop off. I mean, they're like, if I wanted to shave it down, I could point out songs that I would take off, but like, and this is probably would be one that I would take off, even though it still fits on the album and it's okay to stay on there. But like, if I were to shave it down, this would be one of those songs. This next track is a standout track to me. It's called I'm Young, right? And he's talking about young people thinking about, you know, being young and excusing their mistakes, you know, not being responsible for the things that they do, you know, and not prepping for the future. And basically the song, the track, I love the hook because he's like, I'm young And then he's like, but you're gonna get old one day, you know. I got older one day, and you got to learn from that. Like, learn from it now before you get there. You know, he reminds us all that we have to get old someday. You know, there's a lot of gems on there, especially the second verse. He talks about aging gracefully. You know, and if you ever see Bizzy, and if you know his story and all that he went through from the time he was a kid, you know, being kidnapped and all the stuff he went through with his father, stepfather, whatever, all this crazy stuff he went through Bone Thugs, being, you know, going through drugs and all these different things, to being homeless, to being like all the stuff he went through, man. And if you see him today, like, he's doing great. Like, he's doing great. You know, he's married. He just had another baby. All his kids are well. They're doing great. He's taking care of all his kids. You know, been in their lives and all that stuff for as far as I know. And they're all active in music and the things that they're doing, business and whatever else they're doing. He seems to be a blessed guy, you know. So for him to live through all that, and then if you see how he looks, he still looks great. He looks in shape. He doesn't look burnt out, you know, and everything, man. He looks great. But, you know, the song, he's just telling all the young people, man, like, at some point, you got to get older too, man. So think before, you know, plan for the future. Plan for the future. And I think as far as Bizzy, I think he understood to some degree the music industry, to the point that he's like, man, I'm gonna jump off on my own while I got all this hype and start doing my own solo thing. And I think that has served him well over time, because he's still been able to live off of the Bone Thugs catalog as far as performing those songs. And I don't know if he gets paid off of that, whatever, but that's, you know. But regardless, he still gets notoriety from those songs. Crossroads, which was one of the biggest songs from Bone Thugs. So he can tour and still do those songs, but he also has his own catalog. And I think he planned for the future to some degree by doing that and taking his career in his own hands. And it has served him well to this day, because he's still putting music out. He's still, you know, still relevant to a certain degree. So I'm Young, important song. And, like, you know, that takes wisdom and a lot of living to speak the things he was speaking in that. So that's why I had to kind of put that out there. All right, so let's keep it moving. Next song, If I Had a Wish. Dope beat. It has like a waltz type tempo, which is dope. I like that. The hook has the trademark Bone Thugs round sound. So if you knew about Bone Thugs, they used to sing in rounds. They used to do these like acapellas where they would just do rounds. When I say rounds, that means one person singing, and then another person comes in and sings something else different on top of that, and then they're just kind of going back and forth in rounds, vocally. So he kind of does that a little bit on this, and I'm like, this is what Bone Thugs was missing from their music in later times. Like, they got away from doing the rounds, and but he kind of brings that back a little bit on this track. If I Had a Wish. His technique, he's basically, again, rounds is dope. His technique his flow is dope, and he's just venting on this track. If I Had a Wish, it's good, man. I like it. That's about it. No More Handouts. It's the next track. No More Handouts, and this song's about people that he has helped, that he no longer messes with, and that try to take advantage of him and telling him what he needs to do. The hook is strong. It's a strong hook. Good song, and I'm sure a lot of people who've had people in their lives who wanted stuff from them can relate to it. Next track, I think it's the final track I'm on, is Interpret the Serpent. And it's a perfect mix of production and Bizzy, and he's just speaking his mind. And it's basically a culmination of the whole album. Interpret the Serpent. It's a culmination of everything that took place on the album as far as each song. So it's a dope song. I like it. He's flowing on there. It's definitely a keeper, and definitely one of my highlights. So overall, I do, as far as my polls, as far as my rating, I do claps. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so overall, I give this album a 3.5 claps. 1, 2, 3. Overall 3.5. And here's my breakdown. The production is solid and is consistent. Subject matter is engaging, and it's a variety of things he's talking about. This is probably his most consistent album to date. And, subject matter is personal, and he definitely connects with the audience with it. And why not a perfect 4 for this album? Because I would have gave it 4 claps, but the only reason why is because he didn't have Bone Thugs and Harmony on this album. I mean, I know this is his solo album. He's going dolo, and he had no guest appearances, by the way. Yeah, I don't think he had any. Yeah, he didn't have any guest appearances. However, I would at least have loved to hear Bone Thugs and Harmony or his wife. His wife actually sings and puts out music too, so I would have wanted to hear her on a hook or something like that, Because again, I follow Jam TV, his channel, and follow him and follow his story with him, and it's him and his wife on there. And so, and I knew she did music too, does music too. So I was like, well, shoot, he need to have at least her guest on there. But I get it, man. He took it all on himself, and I commend him on it, man. But again, great album, The Mantra. Check it out if you like Bone Thugs, if you like Bizzy. Check out his whole catalog. He has so many albums, man. And if you like this album, go back and listen to his Carbon Monoxide. That was a really dope album too. So check out Carbon Monoxide. Check out The Mantra. And thanks for checking out Ray Hugo's Enter the View album review of Bizzy Bone, The Mantra. Peace.